the first step in removing a string is to use a pair of wire snips like this, protecting the surface of the bowl with a wad of folded paper. I'm using the packet from the string. Slip the wire snips underneath the head of the tail pin and then lever downwards so that the tail pin comes out like that. Then snip any curly bits off the string, and at the other end of the string push the string up through, or if the break is inside the bowl, pull it this way, because the core of the string breaks, the finer windings don't break. So take out the broken string and then unwind the remainder from the peg. So taking care not to scratch the rim of the bowl, pull the rest of the string off the tuning peg. Now the tuning peg had 4 or 5 winds around it, so it needs to be wound back a similar amount so that the new string goes in at the same place and the peg doesn't end up going deeper in. So, checking you've got the right size string, come up to the ball end of the string and cut off the over windings that hold the ball end on. Then bringing the new string, the cut end, in through the copper tube from the inside of the bowl, push the end of it down into the tail pin hole. Now the position that this comes out of the hole at is quite important. If you imagine that this copper tube here is at 12 o'clock from this hole, so if this hole was a clock, 12, 6, 3 and 9, then the string comes out of the hole at about 4 or 5 o'clock. And the tail pin has got a mark on it from where the string was before. If possible, line that up with the string. That's not absolutely critical, whereas the place it comes out of the hole is important. Then in goes the tail pin, and using a smooth-faced little pin hammer, bang that home. Then, taking up most of the slack, twist the string like that, so that the piece going into the instrument lies across the piece going down the hole. Bring it up till you have just a small loop, like that, and then bend that loop across the tail pin like that. Make a loop, bend that across the tail pin so that the loop that goes round the tail pin holds down the bit that goes through into the bowl. Then bring your bowl round to the other end and once again slip the string up through the copper tube and then measure off 2.5 inches of string, or 65mm if you're doing this metric, and snip it at that point. Now this can be slightly tricky. Bend the string around so that the string goes in through the hole in the tuning peg, and then turn the peg, pulling through enough wire that when you bend it down it just reaches to the top of the windings, the threads on the peg. Pull this up to one side and bend it harder so as it sits tight against the peg like that. Then the other side, holding this back, bend the other side, the tail around like that, so that the tail you've made sits down straight. So that's wound back now. If it doesn't sit straight, if it winds up like this, then give it a bit of a bend so that it sits a little straighter like that. And then holding the string against the peg as you wind it. See, I've hooked it into my nail there. Try and arrange that you get 3 windings to cover that tail. The third one can be quite tricky. See, the third one doesn't really want to go over the peg, over the tail there. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if you can get it over the tail, ideal. Sometimes if you wind it up a bit, that brings more string through, and then it'll behave itself. Like that. There it is. So when you first tune your new string up, the windings that you've put around the far end of the tail pin and the ones which are on the tuning peg will need some tightening. So you can tune it up and then press down on it, and the note will go down again as it takes up the slack in the windings. Check the note it's supposed to go to. This one's an F. And the job's done.